'Twas the night before baseball. Welcome to a very special Valley Sports Plug 2023 MLB Season Preview. I am your host, Chris Patrick, and with me, as always, are my glorious co-hosts, Michael Benjamin and VSP Tallman. What's going on, my guys?
What's up? What's up, man? I'm ready for some peanuts. I'm ready for some Cracker Jacks. I'm ready for all of it. An ice cold beer. Should I say a Dodger dog? I don't know about that, but I'm ready to talk some baseball, man. What's going on, fellas?
Yo, what's up, guys? Did I cut you off? My bad.
I was just say maybe a D-backs dog, but no, Tallman, what's good? How you doing, man?
Good, man. Ready for trying to figure out how to bet on some baseball again. That time of year.
It's a little rusty.
Yeah, new season of the Tallman Ticket. We'll see what type of stupid bets we can make this year, but it should be fun.
That's right. Is this going to be a weekly thing, a daily thing?
Once
in a while thing?
I mean, NFL 17 weeks. That was pretty easy. And then a little bit of, specialty ones, but it's too much baseball. I don't know. I might have to mortgage my house at the end of the baseball season if we do it every week.
I was going to say, and if he did it daily, you're trying to make the poor guy go broke? Come on.
Yeah, that'd be too bad.
Yeah, daily would be tough. We might have to start a whole separate TikTok account at that point. Maybe we can ask him for once a week. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, probably once a week. That Friday special.
Solid. Well, Tallman, you're in luck because we do have some special guests joining us today that might help give you some knowledge and insight to help guide you in your betting endeavors. So first, you know him, you love him, Valley Sports Plug contributor with the lights out, Mr. Ian from the Abyss.
What's up, guys? Can you hear me okay?
We can. Ian, you're calling in because you're dealing with a power outage?
Yep, literally 5 minutes before I jumped on, my power went out, and it's out on the whole block. It's estimated to be fixed in about 2 hours. So basically the entire time we'll be on stream, I'll be sitting in the dark, which is great. But I found out, like, my phone light can bounce off my notebook and then hit me in my white ass face, and you can see me a little bit. So at least there's that. I got a little bit of lighting, so hopefully we can get through this.
I love it. It's seeming to become a trend where when we do a baseball live stream, we have to have someone call in. Last time Tallman was down in Louisiana or Florida, something like that.
Close enough.
Florida, somewhere down south and east. But also the last time we did a baseball live stream, we had our other very special guest join us. He is our resident LA Dodgers expert, Raymon. What's going on, man?
Good to be back on, guys. Super excited to talk baseball. Just like Mike, I'm super excited to go to a ballpark, have a nice ice cold beer. I'm gonna give a huge shout out to Saw River Fields. Those Sonoran hot dogs were killer. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Hell yeah. Well, happy to have you, man. For all the negative attention Diamondback Stadium has been getting recently, they are known for having some pretty good eats down there. I know you mentioned Salt River Fields. It's a little bit different, but, kind of same too. But let's go ahead and get right into it with the time we have. We're going to talk 100% baseball, as you know, from the onset there. But first off, let's just go big picture here, talk about the overall landscape of the MLB. There's a lot of teams competing this year. I think there's some good parity in the league, some rule changes, some players switching teams. So let me just go over to my right here first. VSP Tallman, let me pass it to you. What are you looking forward to this MLB season?
I'm looking forward to the speed of the games. I think that's going to be the most interesting. I think it was like an average of 26 minutes or being cut off each game. Not saying I have a short attention span or anything. It's not a millennial thing. Let's not go there. But I think that's really going to help them out, be more, I don't know, just better on the eyes. Because, I mean, you could watch a baseball game and it could go 4 or 5 hours. And, I mean, and a team that wins could win 1-0. So I think speeding it up could be a lot better for the viewing experience. So that is really what I'm curious to see. I mean, I went to a spring training game, and I won't lie, it was the only spring training game I watched, and it was a Cubs game at Sloan Park. That game was the fastest baseball game I think I've ever been to in my life. Granted, it is spring training, but I swear it was over in like an hour and 45 minutes. But It's going to be interesting to see how that really impacts the season as a full going forward.
And that's a really good question because we've seen some changes already being made. Like last year, I think or maybe 2 years ago now at this point, is when they implemented the 10th inning rule where they start a runner on second base. And I was super opposed to that at first, but it's kind of grown on me. Mike, what do you think about the pace of the game, and what might you be looking forward to this season?
It definitely kind of was a little bit of a culture shock. I'm not the biggest baseball aficionado, but the first time when I went to a spring training game this year, I went to Salt River Fields like Raymon, and to see that big pitch clock right behind the catcher, when you're sitting out in left field, it's just something to behold, and it's getting guys in motion and making those decisions quicker. So it's obviously going to be a learning curve for everybody, but I know I give kudos to the MLB for, trying some new things, and pushing the game forward, because we want to make sure that as many people are, still tapping into America's pastime or the national pastime, whatever you want to call it. So I'm excited to see where that goes, and some of the other rule changes, like the shift, the bigger bases, and we'll see how that impacts everything this year.
Yeah, I definitely want to take a deeper look at that here in a little bit. But first, I got to ask Ian, for anyone who doesn't know, I should say, Ian is from New York. He is a Yankees fan, so we boo him for that, but we do appreciate his insight. A lot of people have called this, I think, the juice ball era, and the Yankees are known for having some power hitters, and they re-signed Aaron Judge this offseason. Do you think we're going to still see balls flying out of the parks this year? And what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why, the big home run hitters in the league aren't going to continue to hit home runs. When you look at the stats with the juice balls, it's a very small number, and they're mixed in with balls that supposedly weren't juiced. It's all super consequential, but I gotta say I'm excited for the pitch clock too. I mean, I think it is going to help with the pace of play, and that's the kind of rule change that I think is going to add to the longevity of baseball as a sport. And I also want to give a nod to the World Baseball Classic, which I think is going to help boost popularity a little bit more, especially, with international fans. I think that's the direction that the game should be headed. I think this season we're probably going to see a lot more infield scoring since we have limitations on the shift. But to answer your question, our home run hitters are still going to be doing exactly that, I think.
I would totally anticipate that. And another team that's known for hitting homers and being successful is the Dodgers. Raymond, I want to know what you're looking forward to. And also, you brought it to my attention, this new rule with the pickoffs, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that and also what you're looking forward to?
Yeah, absolutely. I think kind of like everybody's touched base on, I think just the pacing of the game is going to be huge. I do eventually want to touch base on as well. I do think there's still some tweaking to be done with the pitch clock. I do think that the last thing I'd want to see is a game 7, a playoff game ending on a pitcher taking a second too long, but that's a different conversation. No, I think I'm really excited for the pace of the game. We're at a point now where the sport has some of the best athletes in the world. I'm looking at the Trey Turners, Xander Bogaerts, guys like that can make some outstanding plays. And I'm super excited to see how the shift just brings out the athleticism in some of these guys. So I'm really excited about that. In regards to the pickoff attempts, that's a rule that's not really being highlighted in a lot of articles and podcasts and things like that. So I really wanted to bring that to everybody's attention, that essentially part of the pace of the game is a pitcher only gets 3 pickoff attempts. You get your first one, your second one, and if your third one is not successful, it's considered a balk. The runner advances to the next base, essentially. And I think that's really interesting, because I think what their mindset was with that was, with a pickoff attempt, it resets the pitch clock, right? So what they wanted to do was kind of circumvent that by saying, okay, if you're going to do that, you only get 3 attempts. You try once, you try twice, you don't get it the third time, that's a runner, that's an advancement. So I'm really excited to see how that gets implemented as well, too, especially for some of the vets that, I mean, I'll pick on a guy like Rich Hill. You know, he played for the Dodgers for a few years. He was notorious for, you know, picking off like 5-6 times before even throwing a single pitch, you know. So I'm excited to see how that plays out.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I was just thinking about this just now. Isn't that also a rule with the batter and how many times they can step out of the box when they're at the plate?
Yeah, I did see something about that. I think I don't quote me on the number, but I'm pretty sure it's probably only like once or twice they're able to step out.
That sounds right. And it's interesting because when I was kind of doing my show prep today and we were all texting, you go on MLB.com and they have a whole little section about the new rules this year. And they really only highlight the pitch timer, the shift restrictions, and the bigger bases. I thought that was very interesting, but it totally makes sense that those two things would kind of go hand in hand with the pitch clock. For anyone who isn't aware specifically, it's 15 seconds with the bases empty and 20 seconds with the runners on. And then the violations are obviously an automatic ball or strike, depending on which player is at fault, because the timer is for both the pitcher and the batter. I believe the batter to get into the box and be ready to take the pitch. And it's been interesting. I was talking with Ian earlier this week. There's some pitchers that are already taking advantage of this and honestly kind of seem to like it. I saw Zach Greinke. He was kind of playing some mind games where he ate up like the full 15 seconds before he threw his pitch. And then as soon as the batter got set the next time, he launched one right down the middle. Tallman, you were a baseball player, you were a catcher. How would you feel about playing with a pitch clock out there?
I mean, I don't. I mean, as a catcher, I mean, you're always kind of ready to go, especially when you're down on your knees. I think the catchers are going to love it because shit, does it hurt sometimes? Because you can't. Granted, the pros don't wear. They wear a little bit to help them, but like a little padding, like a knee saver, right? But might help them not squat as much. So the catchers are going to love it, I'm sure. I don't think. I don't know. I think it's going to help a lot the pitchers. I don't know, man. I don't think it's going to really have a big impact. It's really going to help some of these people, you know, actually stay focused in the game and not waste so much time. So I don't think it's going to be a huge impact. You just got to change. Just got to learn how to deal with it.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be mixed feelings. Some guys are going to hate it. Some guys are going to love it. But I like, Zach Greinke, he's not a young pitcher. And they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but he's picking it up and running with it. Mike, what do you think out of these 3-4 rule changes we've been talking about, which one do you think is going to have the biggest impact on baseball going forward?
Overall, it's probably going to be the pitch timer, but I'm really excited to see how the shift restrictions really come into play, to be honest with you. Now you have to have two infielders on each side of second base, and they need to have both feet on the dirt as the pitch releases. So, it's going to keep guys moving, and we're going to see a lot more squeakers back down, between first and second baseman. Whereas, the past couple of years, I think it was starting to get stale when you always knew like a big left-handed hitter who always pulled the ball. You got three guys set up, and it basically was never a chance if the ball went on the ground. So I'm excited to see how that kind of comes into play, because the more action on the base paths, the better for the game, because that's what we want to see. We want to see those steal attempts. We want to see those pickoffs, only to a certain amount of an extent. I really do like that as well. I think that's going to have a big impact on pushing the game pace as well. So I'm excited to see what happens with the shifts, and, hopefully guys will start to take advantage of that.
Absolutely. And I heard that was a big thing, is that they just want to increase the athleticism. I like what you said there, that it was kind of getting stale. I know, was it, Ian, help me out here, was it DJ LeMahieu where the teams would literally shift to the whole other side of the field and we're just picking him apart? Or was it a different Yankees player?
Oh God, I know who you're talking about. And I feel like it might have been Donaldson, honestly. I think they used to shift to the right against him, but definitely, yeah. I mean, that's going to be a thing where, you're giving them that gap now with the shift restrictions. You're not going to be able to do that anymore. And certain managers that come to mind that definitely used the shift a lot, leaned on it heavy, like Kevin Cash on the Rays. Like, they got to come up with something new to, circumvent the fact that, they don't have the most athletic guys, or they don't have a way to beat teams that they shouldn't be beating. So it's back to the drawing board for them. I think it's going to be very interesting going forward, seeing that and going back and looking at old footage of baseball games in the 70s and 80s before the shifts was even a thing. I think you see some of the cooler fielding plays for sure from that era, and I'm excited to see something a little more towards that again.
It's going to be interesting to see how the teams adjust. And just to highlight what we're talking about with these new shift restrictions, the rule is now set that you have to have 2 infielders on each side of second base, and then the infielders need to have both feet on the dirt at the pitch release. And like we were saying, the idea here is to increase the athleticism. Now, the last one I kind of want to talk about with these rule changes is just highlighting the bigger bases. They're going from 15 inches to 18 inches, and the intention is that they notice that it reduced the amount of injuries in minors when you have one guy with his foot on the bag and another guy running in. But Raymond, did you see maybe any unintended consequences of increasing the base size?
Sorry, give me a second. No, I don't think so. I think honestly, I mean, it makes sense. You know, I know a lot of older heads in the baseball world, you know, clown on a lot of these guys wearing the big oven mitts to try to slide on the bases and things like that. At the end of the day, player safety is always going to be a big part of it. You know, you talk about the NBA and other sports that are emphasizing so many aspects of the game, such as load management. You know, the last thing you want is your favorite player, you know, seeing the advantage with all these new rule changes, slide into the base and get stepped on and misses a week or 2 weeks, you know. So I'm super excited for the bigger bases. I don't really think it's going to make a big difference to the average fan, but to those that actually watch the game and are able to really appreciate everything about it, even an inch or 2 on the base, it makes a world of a difference when you're having those bang bang plays. You know, I'm thinking even on how was it? I think it was like a World Baseball Classic game, even that it was like a split second hair where the foot almost touched at the same exact time that the ball went into the glove. You know, I'm thinking of plays like that, you know, that could get affected with the bigger base. So I think it's going to be good for the game for sure.
I could see that. It seemed crazy to me when I first heard about it and they were showing the side by side, because even though it's just 3 inches, it looks a lot bigger. But then also you realize how big a baseball field is. I mean, it's 90 feet to each base. So I agree. I don't think it's going to have too much of a crazy consequence. But talking more about the league more broadly, there were some moves that happened here this offseason, a bit of a shakeup, some players leaving teams, going to others. And I think in baseball, we tend to see this more than we do in other sports, I think. Tallman, I'll pass it to you first, but some of the players I wanted to highlight that changed teams in free agency were Trey Turner going to the Phillies, Justin Turner to the Boston Red Sox, Dansby Swanson and Cody Bellinger signed with the Chicago Cubs. We'll definitely get Raymond's take on this. The Dodgers added Noah Syndergaard and our boy JD Martinez. He's very familiar to Los Angeles Stadium, where he spanked 4 homers out of there when he was on the Diamondbacks. Love that. But Tallman, either any of those or any other players that got moved, are you curious to see how they do on their new teams?
Yeah, the biggest one I'm curious to see is Verlander in New York with the Mets. So I don't know. The Mets are looking a little scary. Better watch out, Ian. There was another one I saw. What was it? DeGrom with the Rangers. How much money the Rangers have spent last year going into this season? I mean, I think I saw their salary cap was like they're spending like $500 million or something. They threw a ton of money at pitching. So I don't know. I'm curious to see how DeGrom does with the Rangers, and I think they're gonna have a good year.
Yeah, and Justin Verlander at 40 years old, we just had our fantasy baseball draft this last Sunday, and I had to pass up on him just for that reason. I mean, I know pitchers can kind of tend to go into their 40s. It's not uncommon, but I just worry about his longevity and being able to finish the season, even though he did have an incredible season last year. Mike, I'll pass it over to you next. Are there any guys that you're excited to see on their new teams this year?
Oh, I mean, you could talk about Aroldis Chapman going to Kansas City, Jose Abreu going to Houston, you know, the 2020 AL MVP. One of the other bigger ones, I think, just for me specifically, because he has those Diamondbacks ties, is Dansby Swanson going to Chicago. And the Cubs are kind of in a rebuilding phase right now, but I know Dansby was a big part of that Braves championship team. So I'd love to see kind of what he does out there. And he wasn't a part of our culture for long enough. You know, we shipped him out really early, but I always kind of wished him success because I was hoping what hopefully ends up happening with Corbin Carroll would come with Dansby Swanson with the organization. But we'll be keeping an eye on him. And, you know, we have plenty of friends who have Chicago ties, so I'm sure they'll be bringing his success to our forefront on a consistent basis. So.
Oh, without a doubt. And an interesting one for me, along with Dansby Swanson, I highlighted there, Cody Bellinger. He's had a couple down seasons, and I think that's probably a reason why the Dodgers kind of let him go and didn't really pursue him. I mean, at least to my knowledge. Ian, I'll pass it over to you, though. We're talking about players signing with new teams. The Yankees got Carlos Rodon. I really started liking him when he was on the White Sox. He's been a pretty solid pitcher. He's kind of a guy known to get strikeouts. On top of that, the Yankees, they did lose Aroldis Chapman, as Mike highlighted there, but they extended Aaron Judge and Anthony Rizzo. How are you feeling about the Yankees offseason moves so far?
I like the Yankees offseason moves a lot. Losing Chapman, that dude's on the decline for sure. We definitely do need a closer now, though. That's something that we didn't really address in the offseason, but getting Rodon is going to be big for our rotation. And then on top of that, it seems like we're leaning more towards putting faith in our farm system. And we called up Anthony Volpe and we called up Estevan Florial. So we're seeing some young guys come in that actually might take over for some of the more washed up guys that we need to start thinking about shipping out, like Donaldson and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, that really, you know, like they're okay for a short term, but, you know, we're not winning a championship at any point in time with these guys in the starting lineup. So the right moves are being made with the Yankees, I'd say that much. But an interesting free agency signing that I wanted to call out while I have the floor here is the Mets gave Kodai Senga out of Japan a pretty huge bag. So I'm looking to see what he does. Anytime a Japanese free agent is signed like that, I always want to watch and see how they develop, because they always have a lot of hype coming from overseas.
I didn't know about that. Did they do that move after the World Baseball Classic? Was he a part of that?
I think he was. I don't know when they actually signed him, though. It might have been winter meetings. I'm not positive.
Interesting. Raymond, do you know by chance?
I'm pretty sure they made that move before the World Baseball Classic. I'm pretty sure he was a part of it. I know another World Baseball Classic guy was a guy that the Red Sox got. I think it's Yoshida. He's with the Red Sox, but he was in the World Baseball Classic too. He's another guy that's kind of in that same caliber. Just a really exciting Japanese-born player that might take the league by storm. So I'm super excited for him.
Awesome. Yeah. And while we're on the subject of the World Baseball Classic, we did see Shohei Ohtani and Japan get the win. It was their third World Baseball Classic win. It did start in 2006. I think there's only been 5 or 6 of them. The USA had one, but it was Japan over the USA in that final game. Do you think the outcome, Raymond, would be different if it was like a series, maybe 3 or 5 games, rather than just a one game single elimination thing?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you take a single elimination game and you take a series, you know, anything can really happen. I think at the end of the day, I'm really hoping that this World Baseball Classic was the kick in the behind that the U.S. needed to really start sending their top tier talent. You know, I don't know, when I heard the rosters announced, obviously at the beginning of it, right, we had Kershaw, we had a couple other big name guys that would have made more of an impact, but you know, when you get to the actual tournament and you see the roster that's thrown out there, it's unfortunately just not the top of the top. And I hope that, you know, with the elevation of how much viewership the tournament got and just how pumped these guys were. I mean, you saw Trey Turner hitting a home run in the semifinals, and these guys were acting like they just won the World Series, and it was like the 5th inning of the game, you know. And I know there was a lot of people that were talking that it was just an exhibition game. I know Mets fans were pissed about Edwin Diaz and stuff like that, but hell, man, the Dodgers lost Gavin Lux rounding third base in a spring training game, right? No one's calling for spring training to be canceled. I think World Baseball Classic, if the U.S. really brings their A game, really brings their best guys out, I think the tournament's good as it is. I like doing the group stages. I like the single elimination tournament. Make it nice and quick and easy. And yeah, if the U.S. really brings their A team next season or next go around, which I think will be 2026, because it was supposed to be last year, but because of COVID and things like that or something like that, they shifted it. But it's only 3 years away now. But then it'll be every 4 years. I'm super stoked for it. I'm mad that I wasn't able to get tickets this go around.
Yeah, it's crazy. They did play a lot of those games here in town, and I love that those like all the moments and highlights of the different plays. It is definitely a different dynamic having it be single elimination. That Trey Turner grand slam, you're right. They were celebrating like it was just like you said, the World Series. I mean, it was pretty entertaining though, the back and forth, because I think it was Venezuela we were playing, and they were really kind of giving it to us up until that point. But Tallman, I got to ask you, I know you were keeping a little bit of a close eye on the World Baseball Classic. Would you like to see them kind of loosen up, these MLB clubs loosen up and really let their guys go all out? Because I did hear some reports of even here in town, Ketel Marte having his load managed during the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, I mean, picking back off what Raymond said, I mean, you would love to see USA just throw all their stars like it's, the dream team of basketball in the Olympics. But restrictions. I mean, of course, you'd like to see everyone be able to play in the Classic, or at least have the opportunity to, or choice. But it's a timing thing. It's like this is all going on when people are preparing for a season, and I mean, people called it that exhibition game, but like, you're going out, you're representing your country, but your real season starts when it's over, when opening day comes around, where you get your money, and and you're playing for the World Series, the biggest trophy you can get with baseball. So I don't know. I mean, how do you incentivize it? Do you change the timing of it so you get people more interested in it? I mean, like, what if they played it, but the season's so long for baseball? It's just, I don't know. I mean, how do you get all these big stars to play in it when they're getting ready, going through spring training and getting ready for the season? It's tough. But hey, I had fun watching it, except our boy Merrill Kelly kind of screwed us to start the final against Japan, giving up those 2 runs.
Yeah, happens. Mike, I think when we were texting about this when the game ended and Japan won, you called the World Baseball Classic the fake Olympics. Am I getting that right?
Don't be putting words in my mouth, man. Come on. Well, one thing I will say, I guess going back to the injuries, obviously what happened with Edwin Diaz was tough. And then same thing with the Jose Altuve and his broken thumb. But, guys even like Francisco Lindor came out, they're in favor of it. It's still such a new cultural thing within the grand scheme of, something like the Olympics. You have to build its notoriety, and that could take years and years. You have to play it multiple times. But I do like the trajectory of where it's going. And it's just trying to find that happy medium, like Tallman was saying too. Is like, when's the best time to play it? Playing it right before or during spring training is tough. But where else are you really going to do it? Are you going to do it in February, a month before? It's something that was always going to you're always going to have to work on. But it doesn't mean that it can't get there one day. But, the last thing I will say about the injuries as well, just watch, 2026, there's going to be some other major guy who gets hurt kind of the same way that Edwin Diaz is. It's just part of sports, man. It's part of the game. It happens. But, there's just something to be said for the camaraderie of playing for nations. And, years down the road, trust me, it'll be the same way like when these teams came to, I was going to call it Bank One Ballpark, but that's really, really far ago. When they come to Chase Field and there's 45,000 people in the stands because they're there to represent their country. And that's something that just can't be replicated.
Yeah, and I agree. I love that aspect of it. The MLB and baseball in general is an international game now, and seeing these guys being proud to represent their country and play for their teams. I know even Team Mexico had a pretty good show, and they had some nice players on there. Ian, to let you get your 2 cents here on the World Baseball Classic, I'll ask you this. Do you think it's cool or concerning that Japan has more or less dominated the World Baseball Classic since its inception, winning those 3 titles out of 5?
I think it's. I wouldn't call it concerning. It is cool to the degree that it's cool to see talent from another country showcased like that. It would be cool to see USA win sooner or later, but I think the difference between us and Japan when they assembled their team is they really did throw the kitchen sink at their roster. Every good Japanese player available was on that team, whereas we had a good hitting lineup, but when it came to our pitching rotation, that was not our best guys. We were holding back, and I think that's really what I took away watching it was, we're not 100% invested in it yet, and I think we should be.
Now, that's absolutely a great point because you can have off nights or on nights, really at any position, but I think more so not always super consistent with the bats, whereas pitchers are a lot more consistent, and having those strong arms, those consistent pitchers out there would absolutely be a game changer. I do kind of want to shift directions here a little bit, pass it over to Raymond to kind of give us some insight on the Dodgers and kind of what you think of how their team's being assembled here. Like I highlighted there, you lost Trey Turner, Cody Bellinger, and Justin Turner, but you did re-sign Clayton Kershaw to a 1-year deal, and he's going to be third in the rotation. How are you feeling about your team overall and more specifically the pitching staff?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm not going to lie. It's been kind of a bummer for the last however many years in a row, basically losing an elite shortstop for absolutely nothing and then trying to replace them. We went from Machado to Seager and then Turner, and now we got Miggy Rojas, which, don't get me wrong, Miggy is a fantastic player. I think he was second or third in the Gold Glove running last season. So, he's still an elite glove, which with the shift ban, I'm actually really happy that we focused on getting somebody of that caliber. But obviously his bat leaves a lot to be desired. Yeah, I think the Dodgers are going to take a step back this season, realistically. I'm not thinking they're going to be, the last in the division by any means. I think for 5 years in a row, they've led the National League in runs and runs allowed, which is an insane stat. So I don't really think that they're going to take too much of a step back. But what I am most excited for this season is seeing the Dodgers kind of shift their perception of what their farm system truly is, right? The Dodgers have had a top 10 farm system for the last decade, but they've never used them, right? They've used them to get, the Mookies and the Trey Turners and things like that. But I think this is a season that they're actually going to call up some guys, right? We're going to see the Miguel Vargases. We're going to see James Outman, right? James Outman's got a lot of good stuff. Some of our pitchers like Ryan Pepio, Gavin Stone, Michael Bush, right? We got a lot of good guys that hopefully this is the season that the Dodgers kind of shift their perspective and start giving their guys some run, because in the previous seasons, that hasn't been the case, right? They've gone after the Max Scherzers to fill in the pitching holes instead of getting the guy that's, throwing a sub-2 ERA in the minor league system, So I'm really excited for that. I'm excited too for the signings that we did in the offseason. I think Jason Hayward, the Dodgers have one of the best coaching staffs in baseball. So if anybody can fix that dude's career, I'm hoping the Dodgers can give him a shot. I think, obviously we still got Freddie Freeman. We still got Mookie Betts. We still got really good, talented players. So I think the Dodgers are going to have a fine season. But I won't lie. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm sure my Dodger friends are going to kill me for this, but I think the Padres are really going to take the division, to be honest. I think what they've done in getting Xander Bogaerts, hopefully Tatis stops being an idiot and actually plays baseball.
Right.
But you throw in Machado, man, that pitching staff with Musgrove and all the other guys, they have a hell of a team, man. They have a hell of a team. They rightfully so whooped our ass in the playoffs last season, and I think that they're going to continue to take a step forward this season. So I think it's going to be a tight race. I mean, I could very much see what was it, 2 years ago, where it went to like almost like a game 163 between the Dodgers and the Giants. Like I could see that being with the Dodgers and Padres this season, which not great for my health, but I would love the sport of baseball. So I'm really excited for the Dodgers this season.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I've almost no doubt that it's going to be the Dodgers and Padres competing for the division title. And Tallman, Mike, I'm going to ask you about the Diamondbacks here in a little bit, but I did just want to ask Raymond one quick follow-up about the Dodgers.
Yeah.
As you guys are building this roster out, maybe like you said, tapping into the farm system, do you think Trace Thompson is an everyday outfielder for you guys?
No, I don't think so. I think he has a lot of good tangibles, but I don't know. I think when you look at our outfield rotation, I think we have enough players that nobody besides Mookie should be an everyday guy, realistically speaking, right? Because realistically, we have what is it? Peralta, we have Hayward, we got Chris Taylor, we got Mookie Betts, we got James Outman, and I mean, hell, even in the minor league system, we got guys like Andy Pages that he made a couple good strides in spring training this season. So I don't think Thompson should be our everyday guy. I would much rather prefer him being more of like a spot rotational kind of guy based on matchups. But I mean, he had a really good season last season. You know, he became a Dodger favorite. We all love him as a fan base. But we got to be kind of realistic. You know, he tends to choke up a lot in some at bats. And his defense also leaves a little bit to be desired, but we could do a lot worse than Trace Thompson, to be honest. So I do think that people also really underestimate how much losing Cody Bellinger is going to hurt the Dodgers in terms of that defensive presence. But again, as long as the pitching staff can do what it takes to not allow that many runs, I have no problem with the offense, you know, racking up some runs, and that should be enough to win games at the end of the day. So I think they'll be fine.
We'll see. I like you bringing up Hayward. I didn't know that he had signed with you guys. And sometimes, you know, he's shown that he can be a successful, solid player in this league. And sometimes it just takes a change of scenery for a guy to turn it around. I mean, we might see that with Cody Bellinger. We might not, but always worth taking a shot at those guys. Now, Tallman, like I said, we got to talk about the Diamondbacks. Last year, they did improve their record by 22 wins from 2021. Now, I know it's not much to go from 52 wins to 74 wins. You still have a losing season, but over or under 74 wins for our D-backs this year?
Over all day. We're going over. We got Evan Longoria. The day is saved. Let's go.
My goodness.
That's all we needed, man. No, I'm kidding about the Evan Longoria, obviously. I'm thinking way over 74. Okay, let me pump the brakes. Not way over 74. I'm thinking 79, 80, 81. Maybe we'll figure it out.
500? Smith 500?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I'm thinking so. Especially with the Dodgers taking a step back. I'm just kidding. They're still gonna kick our ass. But the young talent is you can't not just believe in the young talent with this team. And the pitching rotation is a little interesting. Do you guys see who got the 5th spot? That Ryan Nelson kid. So
Who?
Ryan Nelson.
Oh, geez.
Someone he's young. He's like 23 or something. But what's interesting about it is like he barely beat out the 2 other guys. And I'm gonna look. Do you guys? What was it? So it was Ryan Nelson, Dre Jamison. Jesus. And then this Brandon, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name, Pfaadt. Like what type of ass spelling is that of a last name? But the 5th spot on the rotation is going to be interesting to watch because the Nelson guy got the nod for the 5th spot. But it's curious to see if he struggles a little bit, they're probably going to have a short leash with him. We might see a couple of those other younger guys kind of plugged in as we move through the season. But the biggest hit was what was it? The catcher,
Carson Kelly.
Kelly breaking
Gabriel Moreno, dude.
That's awesome. I'm
coming.
stoked to see him start off. But him breaking his arm like that, man. I mean, how long does that take to heal? He's going to be out for.
I think they said 2 months.
For 2, yeah.
Minimum.
So that was just killer right there. But thank God we got Gabriel Moreno. I mean, he's going to be just a plug and play. It's going to be great. And then our boy, Mr. Moneyman, Carroll, that outfield, it's that young talent is going to be so much fun to watch. So we're going 500.
Let's hope, man. I mean, we really need to keep trending in that direction, especially if Torey Lovello wants to keep his job. Now I know it's not all on him. There's kind of this youth movement, which I'm really looking forward to. I know Mike is as well, but Mike Tallman mentioned the Evan Longoria signing. I don't know if he's our savior, but the sheriff is back in town, Andrew Chafin. Is he enough to bolster our bullpen and get it where it needs to be?
I don't know. I think it's a good start, but we're already seeing some injuries to start the season. Joe Mantiply is on the injured list, the 10-day DL right now. Mark Melancon is going to be – I feel like I said that wrong. Chris, you
Melanson.
tell me. Melanson. He's out to start as well, so they're just going to have to hold the line. Then Scott McGow, the closer, we'll see how he does. But, I mean, in regards to pitching, I'm really excited for this starting unit. You know, the Diamondbacks giving the nod the opening day to start to Zach Gallen. I'm hoping that he can be, top 3 in the Cy Young race, maybe, push for a possible win. I think he's going to have a stellar season. Along with Merrill Kelly. I think my favorite thing about this is that we finally get to push Madison Bumgarner a little bit farther down the line, so he doesn't have to be our main ace anymore. But, touching exactly back on what you were talking about, Chris, I am so excited for this outfield young core that we have. Alec Thomas and Jake McCarthy, they already started to have some nice breakout seasons last year. And then you bring in Corbin Carroll for the last 30 games, who is going to be a stud. I think he's already kind of the leader for the rookie of the year in the NL for odds. So, yeah, it kind of puts things in perspective with that Dalton Varsho trade. We probably could use him to start because I know he switches between outfield, but he also can play catcher. But we'll see what Gabriel Moreno can do. And then, those older guys, Evan Longoria, Nick Ahmed, I think it's kind of his last hurrah, and they're there to mentor those young guys and take them to the next level. So there's some higher expectations for this franchise this year, which has been sorely needed for the Valley. So I'm super excited to see where this young core goes this year.
Without a doubt. I mean, you bring up Melanson there, and you kind of had it right, Melancon. I call him Melancon, and if anyone knows, I've been having a bone to pick with him for over a year because in 2021 he led the league in saves with 39, playing for the Padres, I believe it was, and then we throw $14 million at him last year in 2022, and he only got 18 saves. So this guy's a bum. I could care less if he is injured or plays or starts for us or not. It really doesn't matter to me, but I just really do hope that they continue to trust these young guys, give them opportunities, get that chemistry going, and maybe in a few 2-3 years or less or more, we can start to compete with the likes of the Dodgers and the Padres. Ian, how you doing, man?
I'm chilling, dude. How you doing?
I'm good. And I'm really good because the MLB is doing something different this year where every team will be playing every team, kind of like we see in most other sports. So are you excited that you'll get to see the Yankees come to Arizona more than once every 5 years?
Yes, but the issue that I have with it is that it's still a little bit half-baked because the Yankees aren't coming to Arizona this year. They are playing the Diamondbacks, but the Diamondbacks are going to New York. So it is awesome that every team is going to be playing every team, but I think with 162 games, they should be able to work out how every team should be going to every city and not just playing every team.
Yeah, that would be neat. Would you like it more then if like maybe they did like shorter series to make that happen, like 1 or 2 games in New York and then one or 2 games here in Arizona?
Yeah, definitely. For interleague, I think you could definitely do that. Like just do 2-game series, 2 on the road, 2 at home, something like that. I think it should be doable. Like they have enough like a long enough season that I think this should be possible. I'm not too smart, like smart enough to figure out how to do it, but I think if the NBA can do it with half as many games, I don't see any reason why baseball can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is a great point. I mean, Raymond, I'll ask you, I guess, do you think a concern could be maybe like the travel aspect of it when you have a team like the Dodgers having to fly all the way to New York and playing 5-6 games in a week? Or any other concerns you might think of with that?
See, I don't know. I think going to other rules such as like the pitch clock and the shift change and stuff like that, I think it's just going to be a work in progress, you know. I can see because I looked it up and basically to my understanding it's going to be teams are going to face their 4 division opponents 14 times each season. 7 home, 7 away. That's 56 games. They also face the other 10 teams in their league 6 times apiece, playing a 3-game set at each ballpark, so on and so forth, right? So I do feel like there is a lot to work on with that. I feel like you just kind of got to see how it plays out for a season before making any changes. I think it's a good step in the right direction. I think that's the best way to grow the sport, you know, especially like I say, like Arizona that has so many transplants. Like I can guarantee you a 3-game set of the Yankees out in Chase Field I can guarantee it will be 85% sold out, you know, because there's so many New Yorkers from living out here in Arizona. So
Right.
I think it's a step in the right direction. But I can also see the backlash from, you know, the baseball purists that are like, no, like we want to see, you know, the Dodgers play the D-backs, you know, 17 times in a single season because that's just how baseball's been for the last however many 100 years. But I think it's a step in the right direction. I think it makes no sense why baseball's taking so long to get on that train like every other sport. So just take some tweaking. I'm sure maybe in a season or two or the next collective bargaining agreement, they'll shift it around a little bit, you know, maybe like you guys suggested, you know, 1 series here, 1 series there. So I'm sure there's tinkering to be done, but realistically with how big of a season it is, I don't think travel should be a concern. I've seen games where even last season, I remember there was a game where the Dodgers played the Rockies twice in the same day. And then they went to like Atlanta like the very next night or something like that. So I don't really feel like there's an excuse. I could see maybe in the future, maybe they expand the rosters a little bit to allow for more adjustments. Maybe they let you throw in an extra pitcher on your staff or throw in an extra position player. And, you know, you have one of those sets, you know, it could be, you know, a bunch of bench guys or something like that. So I just feel like it'll be tweaked as time goes on, but step in the right direction. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, no, that's a really great point as far as them continuing to make the changes. And I don't think this is something they just did willy-nilly without putting any thought into. I'm sure they studied it, had focus groups, considered all of these ramifications we're talking about. Tallman, something I was just thinking of here. I mean, like Raymond mentioned there, some people might think it's unfair that the Dodgers just get to whoop the Diamondbacks and the Rockies and get all those wins in their record. Do you think this will help in getting the best teams into the playoffs with having to play more of a wider talent pool?
Wait, so you mean we don't get, as in we as in the Diamondbacks, don't get penalized for being in one of the best divisions in baseball?
More or less.
Oh, I think it's great for us, for the Diamondbacks, and for any other small market team out there similar to the Diamondbacks. I mean, come on, we don't have to play. All right, we don't have to play the we don't have to play the Dodgers or the Padres as many times as we normally do. Then it's a total win. Oh, and then other fans from outside of the state that, you know, moved here, they get to see their teams from wherever the hell they're from. That's great. It's a win-win. You get to sell more tickets, possibly, and kind of help the team be a little more competitive.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's a lot of upsides to it, and we'll have to see those tweaks being made. Mike, I haven't quite dissected the Diamondbacks schedule yet, so I feel a little guilty throwing this question your way. But are there any games that you're excited for coming to town? Any teams coming to town, or teams you're excited to see play the Diamondbacks this year with this new schedule change?
Yeah, you're putting it on me here, Chris. I appreciate that one.
Absolutely.
I mean, the one thing for me, and I'll pass it back over to you, are the Red Sox coming to town?
I think I have a 50-50 shot at getting this right. So I'm going to say yes. Because you got those Boston ties, right? You still got family.
That would be the big one for me. I still have extended family members over in Boston and Beantown. I grew up here in the Valley, so I'm a Valley fan. And I won't say that I truly have any allegiances to any of the Boston teams, but it's kind of the same way that the Yankees only come every 5 years. That's what was happening with the Red Sox. And now it sounds like it'll be kind of an every other year scenario. So you get to see, those teams. And I'd be excited to see the Braves come to town, maybe the Astros. I know we play the Padres all the time, but just with their continued growth and loading up over there, that will be some great games to see as well. But I think overall, as a whole, having each team play every team is good for the fans as well, right? It keeps you invested within your team, and you start seeing other teams within the game that you don't get to ever see. And you start learning new guys' names. You start to see, those up and comers, and you get more invested within the game, which is overall what we want as a fan. I don't want to just know who the Diamondbacks are. I'd love to build rivalries with other teams and learn some of those new guys, up and comers, the futures and the stars of this league. So that's the biggest thing that I'm excited for. I won't lie to you, man. I think it's been 2 years since I've been to a game at Chase Field. So have a lot more incentive to go now, because, if the Blue Jays come to town and Guerrero Jr. is out here hitting bombs, that's one that I want to mark on the calendar and try and get a ticket for,
Yeah, I absolutely. Seeing those stars come to town, and I was looking at the schedule there, the Mets will be coming to town, so I'm sure Tallman will be excited to go and see 40-year-old Justin Verlander. I actually guess I can't say if he's going to be pitching or not, but hopefully one of those games in the 3-game series he will be. Raymond, I was thinking of a question here. We're talking about the Dodgers kind of having maybe a little bit of a quieter offseason and the World Baseball Classic. So tying those two together, do you expect that next season when Shohei Ohtani is a free agent, that the Dodgers will offer him a big old bag of cash?
Oh man, that's been a question that I've been racking my brain around for so long, man. I want to be the villain of the sport and make people actually have a reason to hate the Dodgers besides other aspects. I'd love for Shohei to be a Dodger. I think it'd be fantastic. I'm not going to lie to you. My concern, obviously, is giving a $500 to $650 million contract to any player. Obviously, Shohei, right? As a generational talent, you give a guy like that money, right? But I don't know, man. I look at, Mr. Steve Moneybags over in New York. I can imagine the Mets are going to be in the running. You never know. I mean, a team like the Giants might be in the running as well. The Padres, a lot of these big teams. So, I mean, it's going to be a bloodbath, to be honest, for who gets Shohei, because I really find it hard to believe that Shohei stays with the Angels. I refuse to believe that he's ever going to achieve that level of a high that he got at the World Baseball Classic. Obviously, the World Series is a big thing, but you're not going to get there with the Angels anytime soon unless something drastically changes and 28 other teams disappear. So, yeah, I'd be excited for Shohei to be a Dodger. I'm not going to lie to you. And realistically, any team would be happy to have him. You put into perspective what that contract really means. Think about it. Yes, it's $500 million, but you're also going to gain the backing of an entire country being part of your fan base now. Think about it, right? You're going to have an entire country wanting to go to your stadium to watch your games because of Shohei Ohtani. I think that in itself is worth the investment. So I know a lot of times fans get really boggled when it comes to contracts and money. I'm sure there were Yankee fans that were like, no, don't give Aaron Judge all this money. I'm sure there were people that were like, don't give Trey Turner this money. But it's at the end of the day, it's not my money. It's the owner's money. And if the owners want to put a better product in the field, I'm all for it, right? At the end of the day, seeing the Padres drop money on Bogarts, seeing the Phillies drop money on Trey Turner, that's what's going to get the game rolling. So whoever ends up with Shohei, man, they're going to be absolutely raking in money and endorsements and new fans. And hopefully he goes to a team that's going to win him a championship, because Mike Trout not having a championship at this point in his career is criminal. So I don't want that to happen for Ohtani, 100%.
Absolutely. It seems like the Los Angeles Angels are where dreams go to die. And why Mike Trout signed his whole life and career to them and is going to play there till he's 45 or whatever his contract takes him to is insane. But you're absolutely right. Any team would be lucky and blessed to have Shohei Ohtani. I mean, you bring up a great point there. I didn't even consider getting the whole backing of Japan and all those fans that are going to buy the merchandise. That's an easy investment. I mean, who's not going to want a Shohei Ohtani jersey over there? Ian, I guess in this vein here, I'll ask you, do you think the Yankees should join the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes next offseason?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with pretty much everything Raymond said. Just replace Dodgers with the Yankees, and that's exactly how I feel. I would love to have him. I'm under the impression from when the chase was on to get him to an American team that he doesn't want to play for the Yankees, because I remember him coming out and saying, I don't want to sign with a large market team. But then he signed to a team in Los Angeles, which makes absolutely no sense to me. But I think that was directed towards New York. Um, yeah, and I agree. You throw a bag at a guy like that because, backing of a whole country. Like no one cared about the Mariners after Ken Griffey until Ichiro showed up. So it's the same idea as that, man. Like maybe turned up even more, just because there's never been a player like him in our lifetime. So yeah, I would absolutely love to see the Yankees get Otani, but I have an inkling that he doesn't want to be in New York.
That's a fair point. I mean, we even just saw with I think it was Joey Gallo, a guy who had a successful career up until his time with the Yankees, and then kind of choked under the bright lights and didn't like all the constant criticisms. Even some Valley ties when Randy Johnson later in his career went to the Yankees, he was shoving cameramen out of his face, and he didn't have quite a good time in New York. So it's not for everybody. It seems like Aaron Judge is one of those kind of special talents who can really soak it all in, block out the noise, and still continue to play his game. But do you think that might be like a fear of Otani's is not really liking to have all that pressure of an entire city on his shoulders? Because you're right, the Angels are a big market as far as the city is, but they're the little brother to the Dodgers, who really get probably a lot of the attention out there.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if his reason for not wanting to come to the Yankees is that he doesn't want the media pressure and the spotlight. Because he seems, I mean, granted it's the Angels, but he seems to be thriving where he's at now, and he is the guy in Japan still. Um, I think it's more, when you grow up as a fan, there's two ways you can go when you make it to the majors. There's the players that say, "Oh, I grew up watching Derek Jeter. I always wanted to play for the Yankees. That's my team." And then there's the other side of that coin, which is I can't stand this team. They won all the time. You know what I mean? We're hated just as much as we're loved. And I think a little bit of that might play into it a little more than him being scared to play here. I think he could definitely handle it. I think he does have the mindset and good head on his shoulders to do it. But I think he has something against the Yankees a little bit.
It'll be interesting to see where he lands. I can almost assure you that the Diamondbacks are not going to be in contention to get Shohei Ohtani, but that's okay. We got Corbin Carroll. Am I right, Mike?
Oh, oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah. I'm telling you, man, this guy's gonna be a stud. I'm telling you. And that's all I gotta say about it.
Man, I'm excited. And bringing up while we're on the topic of talking Corbin Carroll, I want to just look at some of the odds out there, and so I'm going to pass this over to Tallman here. You got Corbin Carroll is the favorite for NL Rookie of the Year right now at plus 350. The AL Rookie of the Year favorite is Gunnar Henderson at plus 270. But looking big picture at the teams slated to win the World Series right now, they have the Astros at plus 600, Braves plus 750, Dodgers plus 750, and Yankees plus 750. If you were to place a bet $1,000 today, Tallman, which team are you putting it all on?
I'm putting it on the Padres.
Okay.
That's who I'm thinking. And what I just pulled it up, but they're plus 950. But I'm thinking the Dodgers will probably have a repeat of last year. I think the Padres might make a run.
I mean, I could see it. They did add Xander Bogaerts. They're supposed to get Tatis back, or he is back already. I don't know which one, but if they can stay healthy, they're a force to be reckoned with. They don't have a bad pitching rotation. They got a lot of good bats, so it's gonna be tough. As far as MVP, I mean, I think it's probably a lock in the AL that it's going to be Shohei Ohtani. But who do you like for NL MVP right now? It looks like Juan Soto and Mookie Betts are at the top of that race.
It's so hard to say. I mean, it could be any of those top 5 guys. What was it? Freeman's on there too.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean,
it's way too early, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I wouldn't touch Soto with a 10-foot pole, but maybe that's just me. I don't know, man. You could throw money at any of those top 5 top 6 names, and it could be worth a shot. I don't have a favorite on that one.
All right, fair enough. Michael Benjamin, I'll ask you then. Are you? I know you're high on Corbin Carroll. I was just kind of mentioning that. Would you put money on him to win Rookie of the Year, though?
Yeah, and I'm probably not going to make a lot because I think he's just the outright favorite in the NL. But in the AL Rookie of the Year, Gunnar Henderson from the Orioles is kind of at the top of the list as well. I think there's just too much notoriety with Corbin Carroll and such a good start, even within just a small sample size last year, for him to be given a full year to grow and, start to become the face of this franchise. The man already signed his 8-year, $111 million contract before the season started. All of our eggs are in that basket, and I think he's going to make us proud.
Yeah, I mean, as long as he stays healthy, I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be the case. What do you think, Tallman?
I think that Carroll one's easy money. What were the odds you had on there?
Plus 350 when I checked earlier today.
Oh man, it's plus 400 on DraftKings.
Oh, then place your bet on DraftKings because I was looking at FanDuel, I think.
Yeah, that's an easy lock right there. But hey, you never know. Baseball's crazy.
Absolutely is. So, guys, before we get out of here, it's been a lot of fun, but I want to ask you all how you think the season is going to go, and more importantly, your World Series prediction. I think I have an idea of how you guys might answer this, but I'll pass it down to Raymond first to see what he thinks.
I don't know, man. I think it's killing me to say this, man, but I really think the Astros come out of the American League again. I don't see another team in the league that can go toe to toe with that pitching staff, and obviously losing Altuve for a couple games, that's gonna suck. But man, that team, I swear they just find random guys or they get them through lucky trades. So yeah, I think they come out of the American League. National League, man, might have to go Padres, man. I don't know. It pains me to say that, but I don't see the Dodgers really making too much of a run. Unfortunately, I think pitching is going to be a big issue for that team. When you're banking on Noah Syndergaard, hopefully getting to even 1/10 of the percent of the pitcher that he used to be. Dustin May, he missed most of the last 2 seasons. We don't have Walker Buehler. I don't see the Dodgers being that kind of a dominant force. Now, obviously, we can have this conversation again after the trade deadline, and we might be having a different conversation. But I think you throw either Atlanta or San Diego as the National League frontrunners, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do. I really like the Braves, and I think losing Freddie Freeman was kind of a bummer for them. But when you got Dansby Swanson, I know they don't play the same position, but that's a guy who, again, can really make it happen, has a good bat. Ian, though, same question. What are you thinking, season prediction and World Series prediction?
For NL, I gotta go with the Braves. I don't know what Acuna's looking like right now, but yeah, they were just there, and with the West being a little more up in the air, I think the National League East has a chance of going a little bit further. I can't really say the Mets because no matter how good their roster is, they always manage to find a way to fuck it up. Um, and then AL, I could see the Astros again, but I do wonder if early season is going to hurt them since they lost Altuve, and then on top of that, they don't have Verlander anymore. They do, like Raymond said, manage to find guys out of the woodwork that will step in and just shake it up. But yeah, I think I still have to go Astros probably. I don't think the Yankees did enough to push them over the edge where they'll win a 7-game series against them, and that's still going to be their biggest obstacle come October. So I think, yeah, Braves and Astros is what it's going to look like.
Very interesting. Okay, so neither of you guys are taking your teams respectively. And I can respect that. I can appreciate it. Tallman, I know you're not about to tell me that you think the Diamondbacks are going to make the World Series. So what are you thinking? Who are your teams you're predicting?
Well, man, Evan Longoria, he's going to win MVP, right? And then we're just going to – okay. Well, I already said Padres. I think the Padres are going to win it all. So we're going to take the Padres, and then I'm going to go against the grain just because I hate the Astros so much. So I'm going to pick another team that maybe I hate the same amount. We'll go Padres beating the Yankees. You heard it here first.
All right. I like it. I like it. I like the Padres to make it, like you guys are saying. And I do agree as far as the AL team. The Astros are just a force to be reckoned with, man. A part of me wanted to say the Mets, but everything Ian's told me, the Mets are going to Met. And so that's just, you can not even have to worry about that. Mike, I'll toss it to you last. What are you thinking, big dog?
Okay, so first and foremost, we got to talk about if the Diamondbacks are even going to make the playoffs this year. And to be honest with you, I don't think we're there just yet. It's going to be so tough in the NL West. These teams are going to cannibalize each other. Obviously, the Padres and the Dodgers are sitting at the top. The Giants are no slouch either, but I think we're just not going to have enough, unfortunately. But we're building in the right direction. But as far as the AL East, I'm kind of right with you guys. I think the Astros are still going to go back. I'm with Ian as well. How does that early start, affect them with Altuve being out for, a number of weeks, possibly a couple of months? But, Guardians still have some strong pitching. Yankees are the Yankees, but they haven't reached a World Series since 2009, and it's going to stay the same way this year. Unfortunately, Ian, sorry about that. Astros are going for first back-to-back champs in 23 years, man. That would be crazy to see. But in the NL, I did like the Braves move with adding Sean Murphy from the A's, their catcher. Cardinals added Wilson Contreras as well. But the Padres, man, they just reloaded with adding Xander Bogaerts. You can almost say reloading with getting Fernando Tatis back this year as well. So I'm picking them to come out of the NL, and I'm picking Padres over Astros. And unlike what Tallman said earlier, I might just go with Juan Soto as the World Series MVP. So we'll see.
Ooh, absolutely. We will see. I like the landscape of the league right now. We'll have to see how all these changes we discussed impact the league, all the team changes, the moves made, and we're going to keep tabs on it. Believe that we're going to have another baseball stream. We're going to bring these guys back. So I expect it won't be the last time you see Raymond. Certainly won't be the last time you see Ian. Guys, make sure you're following us so you can keep up when we do these at AZ_VSP on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and Valley Sports Plug right here on YouTube and Facebook, of course. But we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Raymond. Thank you, Ian, and my co-host here. We will see you next time. I'm Chris Patrick for VSP Tallman and Michael Benjamin. Peace.
Peace out, guys.
Play ball.